All right, we're live. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, we're going to start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Bahashem,
Yahushua,
Yahushua,
all right, double honor to the apostles, elders of great millstone who rule well and established this word in truth and sincerity. All right, peace and mercy to the hopeful elect and the sincere one third that may listen. So today's lesson, okay, is inspired by Matthew the 18th chapter, and also as you can see, it says humility and love the brotherhood, because in these times, man, that's the only people you got outside of yourself and your relationship with Yahweh Shem Shai. You have the brothers, all right, in this ministry who are also in this race with you, okay, and that's a beautiful thing to have because you know. What did they say in the world? A teamwork makes the dream work, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's our dream is to, Lord willing, we'll have the hopeful elect and to make it into the kingdom. All right. So let's start off. Go ahead, brother. You can pull up that Matthew 18.
Okay, here we go. So this is Matthew chapter 18, verse 1, and it says, "At the same time came the disciples unto Yahushua, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?"
All right.
So I'll expound on that.
Come on.
So they're basically battling for ranks, like who's going to be renowned more than the other. All right. So this is what the debate was all about, because they weren't all on the same level. Okay. So Yahushua, being the master teacher that he is, right, and not judging like how man would judge, saying, this guy knows more and this one does more thing. He answered amicably, right, in lowliness, right, and this is what he said. Keep reading, brother.
Okay, and it says, "And Yahushua called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them."
Okay, so he called a child to basically expound on his allegory, right? As much as, like saying a dark said, okay, so it's being an allegorical form. So a child is someone that, usually meek and looking up towards you. So you actually go down to the child's level at eye level, right? To show what? That, what? We're on the same playing ground, we're on the same level, okay? And sometime in a child, you just set games up where you know that you're going to win, but just let a child win to feel like he's also triumphant in things that he or she is about to do. So Yahushua is using the child as an allegorical lesson to teach the disciples that, hey, let the least be shown favor at times, because it's not about greatness. It's about perseverance and the body in synchronicity, synchronizing. All right? Reading the book?
Okay, verse 3, "And said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children,
Okay,
ye
so
shall not."
like a brother. So
No problem.
accept, right? There's a clause. Except you be converted. So except you change how you think, right? About lesser and greater, right? About being egotistical, right? About honor. Except you do that, right? You can't have what is held back for you, right? Which is the glory and to be a partaker of the kingdom of heaven. So, which means you got to put off that old man, that judgmental like man, that man that carries strife and anger, and say, you know what? All right, go ahead. I want you to lead. I'll watch you lead. And that's being humble, because you can do better than a child can. Sometimes you're playing soccer and you scored on me, man. If you really wanted to, man, take him out, take his foot away. You know what I mean? So it's all right, cool. So unless you become like this child that's ready to be taught, ready to be humble, right? Read, brother.
Okay, and it says here, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
That's right. So that's my
Mhm.
take on it. Okay. Now
Yeah,
I'm going to chime out, and brother else want to jump in and say what is their part. So that's my 2 cents. Okay.
yeah.
So let's stand back. If Gabar, you want me to read, I'll read for you. If you want to say a
I would
breakdown, is
like
that okay with
to,
you?
Khan, I would like to expound on that too, as well.
Okay.
Everything you said is beautiful about
Mhm.
the child and the balance and basically letting that child win to triumph with all that stuff is good. And also this pertains to the faith, your faith, right? It says, because as a child, Yahushua also said, if you didn't have a childlike faith, all right, you want to enter in the kingdom of heaven. And that's basically in a nutshell pure faith, faith of pureness, right? Which is only through the scriptures and watching and following Yahweh Shai and seeing how Yahweh Shai dealt with his disciples, right? And this ministry.
That's right.
Beautiful. Hey, that child on the point, just to go on about that. They're going to follow in simplicity. You mentioned the word
Right.
faith there. That goes back to the acumen, and they're only going to follow what they can see, and that's why Yahweh Shai used that a great example. And to the point, I just want to add to the point that was made in Book of Matthew. It says converted, unless you be converted. Now, I'm going to jump right over to just to read the precept
Hmm.
when they became apostles. So, as you can clearly see, as disciples, it was a process, and they wanted to know that great question: who are you going to set up to be the leader? That's
Right.
what they, which is really
Right.
the same
Come on,
thing.
brother.
Right.
Come on, elder.
Right.
Which is really the same thing that Brother Kazak brought out, breakdown, which is clearly there. So when they become apostles, when you go into the book of Romans, again, it's that convertedness is brought to newness of life. So I'm going to read the precept. It says, this is Matthew 7, excuse me, Romans 7:6. Um, I'll read verse 5 just to tighten up the context real quick. It says, for when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. All right. So simply put there, bear with me. The law, which is perfect, show us where we were going off, correct?
Con.
And we
Come.
were in the same men and all the apostles that came after, excuse me, they it's the same spirit that was guiding them in that growth process. But
Con.
remember that law was there. The law was there to correct you. Right. But here's the point, brother. It says it better than I could say it. Here's verse 6. It says, but now we are delivered from the law. Right. So, in other words, simply put, the law is there. The law is there to correct you. Right. But here's the point, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of
Right.
spirit. So,
Right.
you know what that means, brothers? The newness of spirit, right? Starting with Yahushua, and he gave it to the apostles, right? Today with the law, when you mention a law to a brother, okay, say for example you're going off on that law. That's
Hmm.
you just need to say it once. You don't need to go into a big thing about it, because the spirit, it was always about the spirit correcting us. The law is too divine, if I may just say it that way, for you to
Right. Right.
try to deal with it.
Right.
All of us, because we've all excuse me, fell short of the glory. So the newness, what I want to emphasize here, is how the spirit is working. Men have to be spiritual, and those children, that child there is going to be the most spiritual, because he follows.
Yeah.
He's going to follow his father is God to him,
Con.
right? And Yahweh had to use a child.
Con.
Okay. But anyway, that's the point. So newness in spirit. I just wanted to bring that out, and not in the oldness of the letter, because we're those same men that was in the oldness of the letter.
Yeah.
We're learning how the spirit is working, right? Unlike IUIC and these other groups, the law, Sakari. Listen, and I'm saying it in all humility, brothers. They have nothing on us. They have nothing on us. right? Or that spirit of domination that they use by pushing the laws. It has nothing on us because the Lord says should serve Him in newness of spirit. So in other words, we got to be spirit men, like that little child. Anyway, that's the point, brothers. I'm a bit long-winded there.
Con,
Quick precept
Yep.
brother.
all the brother can say we're into. This is Proverbs 25 and as sort of 6, and it reads, "Do not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the presence of great men."
Hmm.
Verse 7, "For better it is that it be say unto thee, come up hither, than that should thou should Salakia,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
thou should be put lower in the presence of the prince who thy eyes have seen."
All right.
That's exactly what the brother said, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Con.
Con. Yeah, that's simply going into humility all the way through.
Con,
Go ahead.
con.
Wow.
Yeah, I would like to add and say, just kind of to bolster the elder's point is when you look at that verse, you should say to yourself, what is the MO of a child? A child looks to their parents in the one of all things. And so if we're not looking to the Heavenly Father in the name of Yahweh Shai for all things and not putting us on a level where there's no way we're going to obtain this faith, this mercy, this understanding, the knowledge of this truth without Him, then we're just you're not going to see that day of salvation. All things are dependent upon Yahweh. That is His name. He exists. He is the all in all. And so we have to look for Him in order to obtain the kingdom. Quick precept, Galatians 6:3, for if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. So if you think you can do this by yourself, if you think you can take this walk, make this walk by yourself, you're mistaken, my friend. We have to look to the Lord to be dependent in all things.
Yeah, and that's beautiful precept, brother. Because although Paul told us to work out our own salvation, but like you said, you can't do this by yourself because the heavenly, it's everything we do, everything we need, like you said, comes from the Heavenly Father through His Son. So if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. And there's always a big difference between pride and confidence. Right, it's a big difference, and we'll get into that later in the definitions if the Spirit allow it. But was that it on that, Galatians?
That was it on that. I can end it there. I do want everybody to be able to share and continue on. So, yeah, that was it on that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to Matthew 18 then.
Okay. This is Matthew chapter 18, verse 4, and it says, "Whosoever therefore shall humble himself." No, I'm sorry, I left off at 3.
Right.
Matthew 18:3, "And said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Amath, can you go into the little children that
Okay. Yeah.
Google there?
Fine. Let's go, little children. All right. So, little children, we'll play this what the got here for the word.
Strong's G 3813. Paideon.
And it says here, a young child, a little boy, little girl, infants, children, little ones, an infant of a male child just recently born.
We're going to do with E. E is what I want to bring out.
Okay, going down to E, it says children, like children in intellect. Okay.
Okay, so it says like children. So if you have to see, he's not speaking specifically of per se a young child. Is speaking to somebody who is not on your level, right? But it says metaphor. Children like children in intellect. So some brothers don't have the level or the capacity to retain, right, what the Holy Spirit has endowed to some brothers. All right, always keep that in mind. that because you got it doesn't mean all the other brothers got it. And it's, remember, this is a body. So your left hand, like I'm right dominant. So I lift more with my right hand than I will with my left. But it's a part of the body. I don't treat it any different. I try to include my left hand. I love the ambidextrous, right? But I don't treat it any different, nor do my right eye or my right foot, right? And if you got a bum leg, right? You know, when a bum leg and your leg they ain't working,
Right.
you try to exercise that bum leg to be caught up with a leg that is so-called good.
Mhm.
You say, man, and curse out the bum leg. That's dumb, bum leg. That's not the right.
Right.
Right? You try to exercise that bum leg to strengthen it. Because what? It's part of the body.
Mhm.
And that takes time, that takes patience and perseverance.
Con.
You don't want to be doing no extra work from the bum leg. Like, man, what does it do this, this lunges and you know, that's why I do regular squats. So you got to start the bum leg. Right? So that's why I'm saying the intellect now is like we're not on the same level.
Con.
Right? So let's go on that.
Okay.
And I want to bring a precept. Listen back what I just said.
Okay.
Right. So it's 1 Corinthians 12.
Mhm.
I want to start at 24.
Okay.
So I'll read it.
Con, go ahead.
So it says, "For our comely parts have no need," right? So the parts that are, like opposite the R don't need me to help them. Like the comely parts, right? But his brother is just coming in, need the help, right? So for our comely parts have no need, but Yahweh has tempered the body together, right? Having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked. So we should gotta take time. So it seems like you're favoring the one that is not on your level. You're favoring that one. Like, hey man, come on, brother. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give you a call. Whatever. And because the other ones, you don't need to call. I didn't need to call Jeremiah, right, or any of your brothers.
Right.
But his brothers outside the circle that might want to call me and say, hey, Kazak, man, whatever. And if I know it, I'll say, yeah, whatever. Or if I don't, I would call Malak, because that's who I'm close to in the camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And reason with him, okay? But I don't. Hey man, you're a fool and whatever. Catch up, right? And verse 25 says that there should be no schism in the body, and the word schism just means division. Okay, so you can't get the bum leg out, right? You have to exercise the bum leg, man, right? But that the members should have the same care for one another. So don't exalt one over the other. Don't be a respecter of person. Right? Don't try to be somebody who you're not. Don't let the rank get to your head and like you say, hey, listen, man, I will show my rank by how I lead. Right? Then people want to approach you because this man, like Malak. I said it to him today before we got on camera, like earlier we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Malak's temperament is, even though he's probably the oldest in the camp, if he was 16 with that temperament, it still makes him approachable. And people would want to converse with him based on how his temperament is, right? Because he doesn't have that abrasive thing where he's unapproachable. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a leader exemplifies, right? That character. So, second last verse. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. So whatever blemish or stain that's on a certain body, doesn't matter who's doing it, it shows the whole body in that light. Oh, man, them whack ass, whatever, we're in Toronto, so those black ass Toronto guys, they can't get together. You know what I mean? If they watch them guys, brother, I don't want to be like them. You know what I'm saying? And for one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now ye are the body of Yahushai and members in particular. So because we represent Yahushai, we'll always be showing that like humility, because he was sent to serve, not to be served. That's what he came here for. Yahushua was washing the disciples' feet, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was put him, watch that brother that's holding the sign. I'm minister. He said, nah, man, you do this stuff. You're under me. Yahweh is showing the way we should be as representative. Always want to be the lowly so we can be exalted.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That's it, brother.
Come on. We go back to Matthew.
Okay, so this is
4, I think.
Matthew 18 and 4.
Come.
Okay. I also, when I looked at the word Padawan too,
Mm-hmm.
or it was in the Greek, it was Padion, but I end up just thinking about that movie Star Wars. I don't know if brothers are familiar with it.
Come.
I know they got this word from there because they used the word Padawan as an apprentice, like a trainee.
Mm.
So I just looked up the word Padawan in the Star Wars slang, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says a youthful, naive, or untrained person typically used as a form or address.
Hmm.
So, as children coming back, we're going to be naive as well, That's a part of
Right.
it, us growing in
Right.
this faith too.
Right.
And we're also untrained, right? And off camera, I was going into the word rude with Brother Amath here.
Come.
And I looked up the definition because it said, though I be rude in speech, I don't lack in knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're being rude, it just simply means you're unskilled in any art form
Hmm.
or you're unlearned, right?
Come.
So the way brothers may come up, certain brothers, when you interact with other brothers, some brothers are going to be unskilled and untrained when it comes to interacting with the brotherhood at times. So
Right.
it's going to look very tacky. It's going to look unlearned,
Right.
and it's going to come off as rude. But also just remember that brother who's rude, he's not trying to also be wicked as well. That's why
Right.
it says I don't lack in knowledge, right?
Right.
So also just take that into consideration. There's certain brothers, we're different stones, obviously. Certain brothers are more social than others, some aren't.
Yeah.
So, that's all.
Come. Actually, I got a precept for that. What's that? You know what? Let's go back to Matthew 18. I gotta look for that. If brothers can find that one precept where it says, "A man that slips in his tongue, but not in his heart."
Okay.
I think roughly paraphrasing. But we can go to Matthew in the meantime.
Okay. This
Yeah.
is Matthew chapter 18, verse 4. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
Right. Gone. And that's really that exemplifies the elect, right? They're going to be out under Yahushua, right? They're going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven because they had humility, throughout their lifetime or throughout their time in the ministry. And it's a hard. See, this society doesn't push humility. And if it
No.
it pushes humility for the wrong reasons.
Right.
It tells you to humble yourself for a moment and then once you do that, you entrap another man, and then you show forth yourself like a snake that hides in the grass and springs forth to his prey. Right? But the scriptures talk about that and how the evil one, Satan, and Esau, that's how they operate in humility. But for us, we operate in humility in the sense of loving a brother, taking care of a brother, right? Seeing that brother as Yahushua himself, right? That's very important because that's what Yahushua said. There's a precept that talks about how they said we fed you, we clothed you, or when I came to you, you didn't feed me, didn't clothe me, right?
Real quick, I just want to just touch on that word humble because it says humble, and that goes back to simply the fruit of the spirits that come, but it's a gift of the spirit that is given, and it's something that you got to cry for and ask the Lord to keep it. That's why he used the metaphor, use a child and use that metaphor. But it says here in terms of the word humble, I just want to read it real quick. It says low ranking, right? And as I'm reading this, like scriptures will come to your head about who it's really talking about, this humble individual, because it's the Lord that set it up. So set up that person, set up those persons, excuse me. It says low ranking, lowly, lower class, right? And as Brother Amat mentioned, in this kingdom, Esau twists that around
Yeah.
to make it appears to be nothing, right? And it says of low social class. And then on the top, the top synonyms, it goes into meek, differential, respectful, submissive,
Mm-hmm.
self-effacing, unassertive. So in Esau's world, he'll say, "Hey, you're so unassertive,"
Right.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know the bullshit that you're trying the bullshit that you're trying to poison us with. That's why we're not assertive with you. We're unassertive. But anyway, that's the point on the word humble for now. But the scriptures may come up in regards to um, the gifts of the Spirit
Con.
or the fruit of the Spirit later on. Go ahead, brother. Go
Con.
ahead. That's fine.
I found that precept that I brought up, the
Mhm,
water for getting that. This is basically to back up what you said, Kabar, about the rude and the unskillfulness and approach and whatnot
mhm,
in that moment, right? But that man in his heart, right, is sincere still. So it says, there is one that slippeth in his speech, right, but not from his heart. So, it's very important to, if you do slip in your speech, whether it be breaking down something wrong, you're to rectify that and be honest
mhm,
and admit that and then correct it. But then if you're
Mhm.
talking to a brother as well, the most important thing you can do to a brother is show that you're being sincere, because every brother comes from different walks of life, right? So some men have picked up to speak a certain way, maybe very direct and straightforward, and this, that, and the third, and maybe don't regard too much of how another man might feel. But if you're sincere and you let that brother know that, okay, my bad, I didn't mean to say it like that, or I didn't make you feel like that. This is what I meant, right? And who is he that hath not offended with his tongue? So you know what? We all have offended with our tongue. So if one man offends with his tongue, doesn't mean you're better than him. You know, the approach you gotta take with that is that, like what Kazak was talking about, encourage that brother, right? Encourage him and
um,
edify him to sharpen that skill. Because the scriptures say that
mhm,
iron sharpens iron,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
right? So that was it on that precept,
The stones are always rubbing.
right?
I'll get that scripture later, just to clarify the iron, because you mentioned it. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
We
touch
can
that.
continue in Matthew 18.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Yep.
this is Matthew chapter 18, verse 5.
Hmm.
And it says, "And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me."
Yeah, and we know that those little child represent the elect. You
Hmm.
got people out there that, in their humility, they do what they can to help the elect, the prophets out there. There's people who that if we're out there in the winter, they might come out there and buy every brother a coffee, or one brother might buy everybody a brother a coffee. And there's people in the world that has received the elect, right, in the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai. So they're not specifically prophesying, but they're being a help unto the hopeful elect.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
And
brother. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
add, it says, in my name, and that name, it will go into a reputation. So you have to ask, what's Yahushua's reputation,
Fine.
right?
Hmm.
And his reputation is about forgiveness, meekness, lowliness,
Hmm.
right? It's all things showing that he's his reputation is about servitude.
Right.
Okay, not and who's higher than Yahushua? You know what I mean? Like the Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
But he made himself low, a little less lower than the angels. That's referring to the angels in the heaven
Right.
and the terrestrial angels, because the word angels sanctified ones, saints, is basically messengers. We are those messengers. Okay, so he made himself lower than the messenger, terrestrial ones.
Right.
All right,
Con.
that's why he was washing the disciples' feet.
Con.
Okay, so that's what that name is going into, a reputation.
Con.
Listen to that.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, this is Matthew 18, verse 6 now. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
Mm.
Yeah, man. That's a very that might rub certain men the wrong way because it's talking about death and the offense there, man. It's really you're bucking up against what these little ones are represent, like you said.
Mhm.
I'm not going to the word offend. Look it up.
Okay, represent,
No, offend.
offend. Okay, on the blue letter. Let's go into offend here. Where are you?
Sick.
Yeah, con. Offend. So offend.
Strong's G 4624. Scandalizo. Scandalizo.
Okay, so offend. It says to put a stumbling block or impediment in the way, upon which another may trip and fall.
Go to B.
Con. It says metaphor to offend. And you know what? You had that among many various different camps where, say it again?
No.
Oh, okay. Where men, would speak about different things and cause other men to trip and fall, like the flat earth thing. That's offensive to this word, to this truth.
Mm-hmm.
It says to entice to sin.
Mm-hmm.
Go to B.
Yeah. To cause a person to begin to distrust, or desert one whom he ought to trust and obey.
So that's why when you leadership position, you cause a person to what? You
That's true.
offend them. They might, I ain't listening to this guy. He ain't no leader, man. I ain't listening to him. They have the rubbing of the stones now because he said you're not fit for the position or the office that you were given, right? You didn't earn that, right? And then he might cause that brother now to have like a malignant spirit towards you. Eventually, that brother might just fall out, man. And it's your basically the yard says that whoever caused a brother offend, so you're gonna be held accountable for that brother falling out. Even
Right.
though the brother will be judged for going back into the world, anyways, but
Yeah.
you were the cause. It says whoever shall offend, and that offend is said because of distrust, I mean, fall away from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's a serious thing. It says better a millstone was would be hanging on your neck. Right.
Con.
All right.
I also have a definition for that word offend here.
Okay.
There's scandalizo.
Right.
Off the top, you can recognize the word scandalize, and that's what it says here: to scandalize, to entrap, that is trip up, to entice to sin, which is similar, but it also goes into apostasy. And even with the James in James time period, how apostasy was running heavy.
Right.
Apostasy or displeasure. Yeah. To make to offend. There's also another here that says a scandal, probably from a derivative, a trapstick. Did you go into that? A bent sapling. Listen to that. A bent sapling, speaking to a tree, and the molding or make a sapling, a young one, malleable, right? Bending their way, right? You know how it says in the scriptures to you have to bend down the head of a child, roughly paraphrasing, in order to correct them.
Yeah.
Right. That is kind of the same idea here with a bent sapling. That is snare, figuratively cause of displeasure or sin, occasion to fall of stumbling, offense, thing that offends, stumbling block.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm at.
Con. Scandalize is a good word too, because when you have that, man. You can't be certain men like to talk about other brothers and like to create a thing, create some kind of scandal and among the camp and stuff. You have that, even though
Drama.
it's the truth, man. And that's the scriptures talk about a talebearer,
Right.
and then that's also a way to cause. That's also offensive to this truth, to this ministry. All right, but let's continue back in Matthew 18:6.
Hey, that precept in regards to the stones, right? It's First Peter 2:5 for the record. Just want to share that because we've been talking about iron sharp iron, and we know those scriptures. But just to refresh, I just wanted to bring that to light real quick. And that's First Peter 2:5, brothers. It says, "You also." As a matter of fact, let me read the fourth verse. It says, "To whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of the Most High and precious. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable unto Yahweh, our power, Yahweh our power, by Yahweh Shai." Right?
Come,
Okay. And then I looked up the word stone, and it's interesting that those stones, excuse me, and it goes into stumbling stones and all of this stuff, right? Working together with Yahweh Shai in unison, we're going to have these lessons because there's object lessons in it, and that's why we're singing right now. Anyway, that's a point on that. I don't have to go into the word. Look at the word,
come,
okay, in terms of lively stones, because you just have to go to the precept. It's explainable. Go ahead, brother.
come.
All right. So going back in Matthew 18:7,
Mm-hmm.
it says, "Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh."
Yeah,
Mm.
because
And
we kind of just expounded on that already,
yeah,
Mhm.
right?
but that word world there, I looked it up, and it was a cosmos. So it was a certain arrangement of people. So he's speaking of us, the Israelites.
Mhm.
So woe unto you, Israelite, that caused that to happen. And like Brother Matt said, it's already been expounded on. So
Mm-hmm.
no need to go into it anymore.
Come,
Okay.
But I do want to add, though, simply put, offenses are those things that infiltrate the body of the ministry, and we've seen that time and time again. The spring offs especially with Great Millstone, those who come after are out of Great Millstone, and the bickering of back and forth, and to do the body harm, to do the ministry and the body of the ministry harm. And a great example of that is actually Judas Iscariot, right?
yep.
That was an offense.
That's right.
Being in this booth, I do recall something said to me by the elders long ago, is that when these things come called offensive, you are to suffer it gladly and continue to fight for your crown.
Mm-hmm.
On.
That's right. That's right.
Yep, that's right.
Come, you can continue, brother.
Okay, no problem. But I would just like to add for the word offenses,
Come,
and because Satan's always there to attack us too.
come.
There's always negative influences as well, and Satan's in the
On.
midst around us all the time to infiltrate. But
Mhm.
I just like to say there's a term that's used in the world. A good offense is a good defense,
Mm.
and what I mean by that is you got to stay in these scriptures and use that as a defense.
Right.
So
Right.
if offenses do arise, you always go back to the scriptures and see where we fell short.
Come, come.
Just thought I'd mention that.
That's a good
That's a
point.
beautiful point, brother, because what we are doing is offensive to the heathen, right?
Yep.
Our truth is a bad thing to them, right?
Come.
All right. So it says here, um, verse 8, "Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed."
Yeah, I laugh because I think about Christians when I read when this is being read.
Cut them off.
Yeah. cut off your hand and your actual hand. Your brother says to be handsome. No. Okay, so we know the eyes are in the head,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So if the head is going off, right, which is the eye, which watches over the camp, like sometimes say, hey man, even though you're higher rank, you know, and you're not adhering, you're not showing good leadership, you might have to do without that man,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Don't you can't follow that man. Go
gone,
ahead, brother.
gone. Where the body, the head goes, the
Yes,
body
sir.
will go, and then the
Mhm.
whole body will be cast into what it says fire, but we know
Shit.
that's the
Let
ultimate
heaven help
destruction,
us.
nuclear meltdown, man.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's no brother in the camp that wants to be a part of that.
Mhm.
Right. So when a brother's going off, the brotherly thing to do is say, brother, man, I don't know if that's the right way to you going and talk to the brother. And again, humility is the topic at hand. So you have to do it with humbleness because you can't, be too abrasive because you have to know about that brother's spirit and know how to approach that brother. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
not because
exactly.
you're saying the right thing doesn't mean each and every time you're gonna say, I'm right, I'm right. Okay, but you being right, you might have to like adjust, right?
And
And
that,
that was
yeah,
the spirit,
con,
you know.
con.
And
And,
and put my side, say, brother, I don't think that's the right way, or let's see what scripture says about that.
right.
And the brother is humble and is reflecting your humility, right? Because he's gonna reflect you, like how you approach brothers. The brother is gonna receive you that way and see, okay, he's not trying to rub me the wrong way. He's just trying to tell me something for my own good. And he's trying to bring me to that, keep on a path of righteousness.
That's right.
And then at that point, you'll gain a brother,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, con. That's a beautiful thing you said because it's all through the spirit, and when you and another brother might have a discourse, it's not actually about who's right and who's wrong, truly, right? Because the Heavenly Father is going to judge that in the spirit, but it's more so about
The law will take care of that, but the excuse me. I just want to say that the law will take care of that. You're going to see your folly, but as you say, the Lord in the Spirit is over everything. Go
right.
ahead, brother. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
cut you off there.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
and I was saying that it's really just about being an example. Best thing you could do is just apologize, understand where another brother's coming from, so you get insight on how to approach his brother. Because usually through strife, you learn more about each other. So you get insight on how to approach this brother or how this brother is. You apologize, and then you move forward, right? So that's it. I wanted to say on that. But I also wanted to bring up this precept based
bring
upon
it out. Bring it out.
the legs and such. But Kabar, can you read that one more time?
Sure.
Brother Prashant?
This is in Matthew 18:8, and it says, "Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having two hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire."
Yeah. So that's a parable, and this precept here, Matthew 10:37, it says, "He that loveth his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me." And these can also be considered as your hands and feet that we read in the parable there. It says, "And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." So in Matthew 18:8, when it said, "Wherefore if thy hand or thy foot offend thee," really if they come up against what you believe in, if they come up against Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shem Yahshua and this truth, cut them off. Means you can't really associate with them like how you did before that. You can't really associate with them anymore like you did in the world. Cast them from thee. It is better to enter into life halt or maimed. So it's better to be with Yahweh Shai if basically if you lose the world,
That's right.
your family, you lose the world. That's better. That's liken us to you being halt or maimed, rather than having two hands or feet
Better be
be cast into the everlasting fire. Because eventually, if you keep people around that are against this ministry, you're gonna get caught up into that, man. Those spirits can jump on you. You can end up falling out, right? And it says, "And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. Right, and that cross represents the suffering that we will have to go, that we are going through, and will continue going through, Lord willing, we're of the hopeful elect until the very end. Right, so I just wanted to bring that out.
Okay.
And that altar main is going to again a part of the body, a part of your body. You know,
Yeah.
no matter brother you love, you know,
Right.
in the work, like, you know, he's a brother you get along with, but the brother is not being humble enough and bucking up, or don't want to, you know, take direct orders or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so he might just, or the they, it's not uses, sometimes it spreads.
Got it.
Right? So the body be maimed, because that's not
Right.
how you started off. You
Mm.
might have 20 men camp, and I'm going with 15. 15 it makes it, and 5 didn't. And it's usually a brother that you love, man. That brother's all right. That brother, you know, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, you always try to say, nah, man, this brother ain't right.
Con.
You know?
Continue, Kabar.
Okay, so this is verse 9. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with one eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire.
Yeah, it's like, in other words, it's better off alone in this place.
Con.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that Amathia, you had made reference to what the wacky tackies will do with these scriptures, but
Right.
in I know from my experience with music, I don't know if you brothers remember the R&B singer Houston, who actually plucked out his eye
Right.
and said the
Right.
devil made him.
Right. That's that's crazy.
And also,
the Lord told the devil to tell him to pluck his eye out. He's wicked as hell. That's what the scriptures are saying. If you don't want to, you know, be submission. If you don't want to be a child. Anyway, go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to.
and I
cut
was
you
going to
off.
say, to the red letter, that section from Matthew 18:7 to Matthew 18:9 is regarded as temptations to sin. So brothers were spot on when you were talking about those who might come in and draw you out of the ministry because of their way, and into the body because of their way, and they're going off.
Right.
This is not conducive to us pushing this truth. That's it on that.
Con. You can continue, Kabar.
This is verse 10, and it says, Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father, which is in heaven.
So there's angels making a report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
Saying, hey, man. It's like not men. Hey, Yahweh, Most High. Amen. Hey, Most High. Very humbly, there's a brother down there acting up. You know what I mean? He might cause a brother to stumble, right? So we'll be careful, because the angels are making reports, right? And they speak to the Yahweh face to face, right? Telling on you.
Con. Go ahead, brother.
And it says, For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost.
Right.
And that word lost, I looked it up, it basically means dead. One of the definition was dead. So like, we were those one in a dead state, right? So Yahweh Shai has came to bring us back from the dead.
Right.
We're we're outcast.
Right?
And he humbled himself. He didn't have to. I mean, he said if he wanted to, he can raise up stones, like, you know, do it all over again.
Yep.
But he came down and came for what? Which was lost, which was dead.
That's Proverbs 21:16.
Bring that, brother.
Making reference to Khan. Proverbs 21:16. The man that wandereth out of the way of the understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And you know, I mean, especially for the elect and for Israel, we Israelites, we had that in understanding. It's through Yahweh Shai and him coming back and making that sacrifice that we are drawing it out now. It is an inward thing, right? Because to have the Spirit is to be inspired, meaning it is already in us. It's the Lord and the Spirit that is drawing it out. That's it on that.
and just to add to what's going on here, like this isn't red lettering, man. Like this is a Yahushai. This is a letter. Like if you were to write anything in red and give it to anybody right now, it's offensive. Hey, what are we doing? I ain't taking that. You know what I'm saying? Yahushua is putting in the red, so it's solidifying. This is important. You know what I mean?
Right.
This should jump out at you, and the topic is humility. Don't forget. All right. So this is what it's undertone. This whole thing is about humility and brotherhood.
That's right.
And each and every brother in here is akin to Yahushua and son of the Heavenly Father. So when we greet a brother saying Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Barakatha, you are saying the highest of the highest bless this brother.
That's
so
right.
You're being hypocritical if you're holding anything outside of that. And you're calling damnation upon yourself because like you're asking that heaven to bless, but then you in your being, you're like, oh man, I can't stand this brother, man. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and it's
the wrong way.
That's right. I was just gonna say it's gonna go into it what you're saying, so that's the spirit that you're going into. Con, you can go. You continue.
I got a quick precept just to back up that point. It's really going into holding a grudge, right? You're not supposed to do that. So this is from the law, Leviticus chapter 19 and 18. So this is a commandment. It says, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh, right? And I just thought I'd bring that because you're not supposed to hold any grudges. You're not supposed to hold any negativity against a brother, especially that's in your nation that's laboring with you, especially if you squashed it. If you calm the situation down, you're not supposed to hold a grudge. Now it says, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And you know what love is? It's really the commandments, keeping the laws, right?
Right.
And we also have to take into consideration, it's not always about being right about the situation. Yes, you could be rude in speech, right? And you could not lack in knowledge. But what comes with that knowledge, you have to understand how to be empathetic towards a brother. And sometimes you have to show more empathy and don't show more apathy.
Right.
So a brother may be feeling a certain way, even though you didn't break the law and you may offended him or her, right? You still have to show some type of empathy.
Right.
You still do.
That's right. That's right.
It's not always about being right.
I would add, let me just add quickly that this is something that I went through with my own children, and I was telling them that the first sign of intelligence is humility, because a humble person, he got all the answers. He don't have to act any other way. You know what I mean? Sure. You know how when you have knowledge and it puff it up, but a humble person, he really has all the answers, so he doesn't have to act other than his, right? Which is wise in his ways.
And you know what, brother? Sometimes being humble is knowing that you don't have all the answers too.
I have a quick precept. This is Luke 6, because the brother Gabar, mentioned your neighbor, who they are.
Right.
And then we're going to address the wacky Christians now, because, they all put their 2 cents into what they're not busy put 2 cents into. Luke 6:27. And it reads, but I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. So that's, if when you go into it, you see that those enemies are the children of thy people. And even within the brotherhood, you have enemies, man. Because some brothers just like, I'm here to do this because the brother offended him and he's holding that grudge, right? And the brother would let it go, right? So the brother that's already let it go, don't despise a brother because you know brother has some. You pray for that brother. Pray
Con.
for him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Brother's thirsty. You said, brother, I'm going, you know, the store, man. You want a bottle of water, brother? And eventually, over
Mhm.
time, because not every brother is going to be like you and let things go right away, right? Because we're not all the same, right?
Mhm.
But eventually, that brother said, you know what? Maybe I
Mhm.
should, you know, that brother, he gets it. He sees that.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. You soften him up, right?
Fine,
That's
right?
that's beautiful.
Fine, right? And it says, and unto him that smiteth thee on one cheek, so the brother offends you, right?
Hmm.
Offer also the other, and him taketh away the cloak, forbid not him to take the coat also,
Yeah.
right? So the brother offends you, right?
Mhm.
Don't start like flexing on the brother and and in that ready position where like, man, if that guy comes here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it or rip him on you, So yeah, it might offend you again, but as I said, 7 times 7, and then some
Yeah.
brother now will take that literally and say that's the fifth time. Okay, okay, well, that's the sixth time. So yeah,
Three means understanding. I'm done.
yeah, it's like saying, yo, 7 times 7, so it means like infinitum, right?
Con.
Mhm.
So, and then I don't think a brother is gonna keep doing it because he hates us, because that's annoying. If it's a brother, man, come on, I know the Bible says, infinitum, but hey, man, have a heart,
Con. If I may add to what you're saying, brother,
Yeah.
too, when it says turn the other cheek, and Bar, you already kind of broke this down, really. And it's about not being right all the time, because if he smokes you in the cheek and he says to turn your other cheek, basically, something like you can know you're right according to law, but let it go because you can see the bigger picture.
That's right.
You
Take
gotta
the high
look up,
road.
huh?
Take the high road.
Right, Con.
Take
That's
the
it.
low road.
It's really the low road. It's really the low.
Humility, man.
You're going to get the reward of the high road, but it's really the low
Take
road.
the
But
low
I
road.
hear you, brother. Same thing. Go ahead.
The
Uh,
saying is, but take the low road. Yeah, come on.
All right, let's go back to Matthew 18.
Okay, so this is back in Matthew chapter 18, verse 12, and it says, "How think ye, if a man have 100 sheep,
Mhm.
and one of them be gone astray, doth he not leave the 99 and goeth into the mountains and
Mm,
seeketh which is gone astray?"
that's right.
Mhm.
Continue.
Okay. Um, oh, I'm sorry. King David did that too.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you remember the story, there was a lion that took hold of one of his sheeplings, right?
Yeah.
And then he went and wrestled the lion to get the sheep back.
Yeah.
And that was just one sheep.
Con.
And that's what Yahushua is doing with each and every one of us,
Con.
because right now we
Mm,
are in the midst of a devouring lion, which is Esau, and it also comes in the form of the other nations and even um,
2/3.
other Israelites, two
Yeah.
Mhm.
thirds.
That's right.
So he's helping us.
That's right, man. That's right.
Beautiful. There's a scripture that says that we should not be a lion in our house.
Yeah, I got that.
You have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't be a
Sirach
lion in our
4.
house. Yeah, that's the balance. I'm just
That's in Sirach
balancing the
4.
Rock Fort. Don't mash up your house. Meaning that
Can
that
you get it,
spirit.
Elder?
y- And hey, real quick, brothers. That's you can bring it up, but I just wanted to say, right? If you study the lions, it's the same thing.
Hmm.
The actual creature itself, because the children of Israel is represented as lions, but the actual lion itself doesn't mess up his house,
Mm,
right? He watches the pride from a distance, right?
Mhm.
Or if there's brothers, one is on one side, right? And when it's time for them to come together, they come together, but they're not making havoc of that house.
right.
Period.
I got the Elder.
Go ahead.
It's
Go ahead.
Sirach, which is Ecclesiasticus chapter 4, and this is
Mhm.
verse 30.
Hmm.
Yes.
Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants.
Mm,
Beautiful. That's the key there. Frantic,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, hey, because we're likened unto lions, but don't be crazy in your house.
con.
Mhm.
That's
Or
what the
the,
Lord is saying.
or the
So
Lord's
there has
house.
to be a balance. Yes, the balance is that humility, that
Right.
humbleness,
Mhm.
and you with that, brothers. When you move like that, people gonna say you're soft. I can tell you how many men got thrown out of the camp that used to label me that way, and I'm not saying it to big myself up, brothers, but that's been my existence, and most of you men too.
Con.
You know,
Yeah.
That's
brother
right.
Kazak could probably write books about it, about and when he was in the world, but the Lord was just setting you up.
Con.
You know what I'm saying? Every man here. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying?
Mhm.
All right.
Right.
Go
Con.
ahead, brother. That's point on
And
that.
that's the point that I was Salakia. That's the point I was trying to make. That when you know you have all power of understanding on your side, and a brother is less
Mhm.
in understanding, there is a way to maintain your composure and deal with that brother. You know you got the answers, and a man that has the answers, you're not gonna act all frantic and all crazy. You're gonna settle yourself, give the brother a chance, and explain to him why, or explain his errors, right, and
That's right.
correct him that way.
Con. Con.
Right.
Beautiful. Let's continue.
Okay. And it says here, sorry, let me pull it back up. My computer just froze a bit.
Oh, it's all
So
good.
it's okay. And it says here, verse 13, and if so be that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoiceth more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray.
Hmm.
Wow.
Con. That's a
Wow.
beautiful thing because
Mhm.
you never want a brother to fall out of this truth. Okay, you never want a brother to. Well, yeah, you never want a brother to fall out. So when any of us, all right, are being plagued by Satan, we got to pray for one another and uplift one another, man, at all times, as much as we can, as much as as much as we're given to do that with to the brother.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it says, verse 14, even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that
Hmm.
one of these little ones should perish.
Right. The scriptures say that the angels rejoice when one man's brought in.
Mm-hmm.
You know. You can continue, bro.
All right. It says, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee,
Hmm.
go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what is that? That's discretion,
Con.
right? That's discretion
Mhm.
because there's an order of conduct that
Mm-hmm.
we're to have being followers of Yahweh Shai. And when you're humble, you're also discreet. That's synonymous with each other.
Con.
Hey, that's a command. I just want to be clear
Yep.
for those who are listening. Brethren, know that
Con.
that's a command, right? And that's how it's actually done. You get pulled to the side and we counsel together.
Con.
Yeah.
Simply put, I think I was telling Kazak this morning, with the salute, that powerful salute, which summarizes everything. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Barakatha. Brother came at me because he said I was mumbling that salute, and brought me to counsel.
Con.
No, I'm not trying to be comical, but now I laugh. I look back and I laugh at it, right? But then I was nervous as hell because in my spirit I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to the brethren. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
That man is smoking a weed split right now.
Well, as long as he's happy, my brother.
As long as he's happy.
Look, hey, listen, right? It's the Lord's property, and I look at when I look at the scriptures, I always for somehow think of the elect, but not on this side.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the hopeful elect on this side, but 2/3 of Israel on the other side. You know, and I'm just saying it affects all of us. But that's how I look at it, right? Like, wow, that I can't believe, Lord, I hope I didn't make that man fall out of the truth. Meaning, I wasn't a stumbling block because I know that you're in charge.
Con.
This is your show. Go ahead, brother. That's the point.
Con.
And real quick, this
Yeah.
is manners too, right?
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
shows manners and etiquette. So this
Hmm.
is coming from the big cat, for lack of better words. It's coming
Con.
from Yahweh Shai,
That's
the
Yeah.
big
right.
lion,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Right.
And he's showing you how to talk between one another, and
Right.
that's the etiquette. You take the brother to the side, and
Right.
like I said, um, brothers, especially myself, you got to learn this.
Con.
You got to learn this. You can't be tacky when it comes to this,
Con.
because if you do it the wrong way, it can resort to fighting, right?
Con.
Or it could lead to something even worse,
Right.
right? So
Right.
it has to be done this way.
Con.
And it takes time. It takes understanding. You It's not going to be perfect. Remember, this is a rehearsal. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to rehearse the righteous act, and this is a righteous act that you have to do. Right?
Con,
So we're going to fall and stumble too at the same time, but we got to do it.
con.
You want me to continue?
Yeah, continue to
Mhm.
continue to the 20th verse. We'll hold it off there.
20th verse. Okay.
It's going my bad. Two-part.
Yeah, yeah. Con. Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to do a part 2 for real.
Gone.
Mhm.
Con. And it says, if he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother.
Mhm.
But if he will not hear thee, then
Mhm.
take with thee one or two more,
Mhm.
that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just really that's a court, not a court order, but basically that's how you establish order, because
Yep.
now you have two men that are up in their emotions. So Satan's there with the
Man.
with the puppet strings doing his thing. So you need more than more than one brother to kind of make sure everything's placed in order, what's being said, what's not being said, because you never know,
Mhm.
man. Sometimes demons jump on brothers and they lie,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
They're
try to.
always looking for a host.
That's right,
Go
right.
ahead. Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Well, that word established means affirmation,
Mm.
right? If the brother is bucking up and whatever, those men that are there is to make something cemented. Like, yo, here's your papers, man. You need to be elsewhere,
Right.
right? That's what the establishment is going through. Like, this is done. We're in agreement,
Mhm.
right? And whatever is done there at that time, that goes into heavens, man. It's a signed document in the spirit, right? And while we know that most men that get ousted for that kind of apostasy, they usually go out and reason why I left GMS,
Big
in the ministry, a series of until they eventually wither away, man. They're away from the vine, they wither
Really?
away.
Yeah.
All right.
There was
Yeah,
the man was being a bully. He was bullying me every time.
no, the Lord can sift you out for a very simple thing, right? But as Brother Kazak mentioned earlier on, that spirit of we usually say, we called it back in the day the effeminate spirit, but it's still alive, or a familiar spirit of domination, the spirit of domination. That's what they really had, but it came in, it kept in unawares. But I was just thinking of a simple thing that the Lord throw people out, but because the spirit was off, you knew that person wasn't going to be part of the truth, and it's a scary thing. Okay, it's a scary thing. That's the point.
Con.
Yeah. So anyway,
Continue.
if the analogy comes back up, the scenario, I can remember it. I'll let you brothers know if need be, or we
Con.
might have to do it in part 2.
Con.
Con.
Go ahead.
Verse 17, and it
Hmm.
says, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church.
Mm.
But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a
Mm.
publican.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That's it, man. That's the basis. You're not in the ministry. We can't, you can't be trusted.
God.
you know. Go
Verse
ahead.
18, and it says, verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven,
Mm.
Mhm.
and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
Right. Con. And that goes into various things, man. Basically, like you said, Kazak, the angels are always taking a report.
Mhm.
They're taking a report of what happens on earth,
God.
and they bring it right up to the heavens.
Right.
God. So we got to be circumspect, all of us. We got to be circumspect that
God.
everything's being
Right.
watched.
God.
That's right.
Hmm.
And it says, verse 19, again I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven.
Right.
For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
Con.
And that's going into the law, man, in Deuteronomy 17 and verse 6. That's what it's going into.
Mm.
So that's a command. Right? It's
Mhm.
a law. And then, Brother Matthew, I know you said we're going to 20, but I just want to read one precept in the Psalms 133 and 1.
Con.
Yeah.
Oh, Slack and Shalom to the comment board. Bare precepts. Go ahead.
So Psalms 133 and 1, and remember it's a two-part. So I'd love to leave off on this note, though. If
Okay, con.
you don't have to, but I'm saying, no. So you
Yeah.
want to bring up Psalms 133 and 1?
Con.
Mhm.
Psalms 133.
And 1.
All right. Con. I'll read it for you. Psalms 133 and verse 1.
Yeah.
A song of decrees of David. Behold, how good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity.
That's right. And that's a very comforting precept, man.
Mhm.
Right? Because this I think is the most we've had on all at the same time from the GMS Toronto camp there, man. And you know what I mean? I'm telling you, man, bro, that it does something.
Right.
It's a fulfilling feeling, right? And like I said, it be a precepts by the comment board,
Yeah, con.
right? So it's a very spiritual lesson, man. You know what I mean? And it hits home. How good does it feel, man?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
this is the kind of exhortation and warning we need. Exhortation is warning
Con.
because it's comforting because it goes back to the humility and
Con.
humbleness. In order to approach
Yeah,
the Lord, He has to break us down. Go ahead, brother. Just thought I mentioned
I
that.
was going to say, Salakia Elder, I was going to say that brothers dwelling in harmony and unity, that's an increase from Yahweh, from Yahweh
Right.
alone.
Con.
Absolutely.
Con. Beautiful.
Okay.
Come
Um,
Verse. Okay, go ahead, brother.
That's it for me, brother.
Okay.
okay. I just want to
Repeat
read,
that, brother.
if you don't mind, brothers.
Yeah.
May I read? This is some of the comments that I saw here.
Con.
Precepts.
Yeah.
This is from Elder Jeremiah from GMS Toronto Camp, our head.
Mm-hmm.
So this is GMS History of Yaikwab, and it says
Mhm.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 20, verse 1.
Hmm.
There is a reproof that is not calmly again. Some man holdeth his tongue, and he is wise.
Mm. Con.
So, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's good.
Sorry.
It's just good to hold your tongue or hold your peace too.
Yeah.
You don't always gotta say and blurt things out your mouth because the tongue is a small member, but it's very deadly.
Con.
That causes death.
Yeah.
Shit talking.
Yeah.
You don't want conflicts between brothers, especially
Yeah.
some brothers are stronger than other brothers, man. So if you're a small brother, you don't run your mouth to a big brother and say
Yeah.
things and push his buttons. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's
Right?
true.
Yeah,
It's
you
very
would.
true.
And it's
Yep.
saying a reproof. So when you're being corrected, like it's in you to say, but. So he said it's wise to say, you know what? Okay, brother. And eventually, brother, if he's a long-winded, he'll run the ear and say, okay, I agree with you. This is you're not being combative.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes the brother ain't even right, but he's saying, all right. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to be confrontational.
Con.
Hey,
Yeah.
to that we're still on the flesh, you know?
God.
Con.
Well, Yahushua was a perfect example with all of these scenarios. And
Yeah.
if you go to when they were disciples, when he
Yeah.
was building them up, right? Hey, and he could have taken out anybody,
Ooh.
but he was moving in spirit.
Con.
Okay, and brother mentioned Judas in this thing, but I'm not trying to go on to the conversation. But I'm just saying, when you go back to the ministry, when they were disciples, he was building his house. The same men that came back, right? Same prophets, and then they became later on apostles.
Right.
Okay, it's a process. So
Con.
yes, but he was that humble. This servant was so humble, he could have taken them out. And it's interesting in the ancient world when he appeared to them, they didn't even know it was him, right?
Con.
We know about Joshua and the angel, okay?
Con.
But so the point is, right? The reason why I'm rambling on here, I read Romans 7 and 6, but this is the new, it's called the newness of spirit, right? That's how we're going to learn. That's what Yahushua was teaching us. how to deal with one another and how to come to Him. Well, the Abanawa, right? How we come to the Father and how we come to one another.
Con,
Because we can't say we love Yahweh and hate our brother,
con,
right? But this is the newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter. And the oldness of the letter goes by just the law, the law, the law, right? But meanwhile, you don't have the spirit to guide you. And that's why we
Mhm.
have problems at these other camps. Okay? They can't see it, right? Where's your fringes? Where's this? What? How come you don't have this? Right? Meanwhile, they're just
Yeah.
as filthy as we are, right? Even though
Mhm.
I'm just saying, in the sense of we're not willfully sinning, brothers.
con.
And when we
Yeah.
willfully sin, hey, the Spirit is there to guide us because it's about approaching Him in humility,
Mhm.
understanding in spirit and in truth. Anyway, that's the point on that, brothers.
Con.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Romans
So
7.
we're gonna close it up. I'm just gonna end this precept. If this brother, he
Oh,
always
one more.
chimes in. This is the last precept, and we're gonna
Yep.
close it up. He always chimes in. This is a good precept too. It says Sirach 28 and 12. If thou blow the spark, it shall burn. Right? If thou spit on it, it shall be quenched. And both of these come out of thy mouth. You know. So
Hey,
yeah.
take that with a little bit of spiritual humor. Wow. Hey, next time you see a Christian, ask them what that means. Wow.
so um So you know what? Lord willing, this was edifying to the whole full
Wow.
out there. But
Yes.
most likely we'll do a part two, if the spirit impress us and finish the rest of Matthew, the 18th chapter.
Yes.
So with that, we're gonna close by giving all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Hashem. Double honor to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and has taught us this word in truth and sincerity. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect and the sincere 1/3 that may listen. I'm gonna say about the ball.
But the ball.
All right, and Lord willing, to the next live lesson. Shalom.
Shalom.
Oh.
Shalom.